Hello, everyone. I'm Trent Luce. Welcome to another live across the pond with my pontification partner from the UK. That would be the United Kingdom, Andrew Henderson. Good afternoon, UK.
Good morning, USA. And I have done something today that I've done millions of times to other animals, but not to myself.
Oh, dear. You know this is a kid's show, right?
Very good. Very good.
So I have to pick on.
It did involve a prick. I will say that. It did
I
involve
have to pick on a friend, and I'm not going to name the friend, but you know, we as Americans, when we don't travel a lot, we see somebody speaking with an English accent, and we don't know whether it's the UK, the EU, or Australia. And so this friend asked me yesterday, what's your friend in Australia say every morning about the dangers that I see happening on the web with concentration camps and forced jabs and things like that? And I said, well, first of all, Andrew's not from Australia.
Yeah.
And secondly, it is happening in New South Wales and in Victoria, not in Queensland, South Australia, to my knowledge, or Western Australia. So anyway.
Well, of course, if people are watching that, it's the corruption there that's the real big
It's
story.
a corruption everywhere.
Yeah, which I want to talk about. That's what I want to talk about.
Okay, lay it on me.
So I went through my test for the government and my individual test for antibodies today, and I sent it off all in its cardboard box, and I had to do all this preparation, which was quite actually, it's quite a thing to take yourself through, where you're actually about to take your own blood, and then you have to do it, disinfect everything, put your hand in a bowl of warm water for 2 minutes, and you have to do 30 minutes exercise before so that your blood's pumping. Uh-huh. And anyway, without going into the gory detail, Ashley had to walk out the room because when I actually used the prick thing that they give you,
right,
blood went everywhere. I was like, wow, look at this. I could have used it as a gun.
Isn't it supposed to be just like a little blob comes up and you dop the blob on it?
You've got to get a vial
really?
with about 600 ml in there. But don't worry, it didn't take my hand more than, I'll say a minute to fill it. So I went through that today, and I'm looking forward to my results in 3 to 7 days time from the government. But what they don't know is I'm getting it tested independently as well, just to see.
Oh, you're doing a comparison. Lies. That's very smart.
I am very smart. Do you realize that I've become very smart?
I can't forget it because you keep telling me.
I know. If I was a bar of chocolate, I'd eat myself.
I know.
But there you go. So
would there be almonds in that bar of chocolate? I'm just curious.
Sorry, what?
Would there be almonds in that bar of chocolate? Or
no,
pure
no
chocolate?
Almonds. Not really into those. I like nuts, salted peanuts. I'm more of a salted peanut man than an almond man. Although I have had almonds in Spain with salt on that were very tasty.
All right, go ahead. So 3 to 5 days, you'll have the antibody test.
Yep, and I'll announce it live on this show.
All right,
whatever that is. Okay.
So that's probably going to be Monday,
or it could be Tuesday.
Okay, first of the week.
Okay. So I like Mary Sneed. Every time she talks, she says sensible things, and that's something very sensible that she's just come out with. I have to agree with every word of it.
I like Mary too, but once in a while she gets foggy. All right. So you sent me a video from Parliament in the UK that is very interesting.
Second reading of the damage done. It's the title. If you get a chance, go online. I'm putting the full version on the on Telegram, but I had to give a shortened version to Trent. But it basically was while our Prime Minister has been away, two things have happened. There's been a report come out. Well, actually, three things. there's been a report come out on how many people they could have saved if they'd handled the pandemic in a different way.
Okay.
And it's very damning. Secondly, there is now a bill going through Parliament, but it seems to be going through Parliament. That's the UK Parliament. We don't have, we have a House of Commons, which is the MPs we vote for, and the House of Lords, which are a bit like your congressmen that stay there a lot longer and earn loads of money and nobody knows how they do it. So there is a similarity there. So, and they're not elected. So let me just explain this. So
whoa. Time out before you explain this. They're not elected. Are they appointed? How does this work? The House of Lords.
Okay, the House of Lords are an oversee judiciary, if you like, a bit like your Supreme Court. That they've been either appointed for their lifetime, so they achieve something and they're appointed a lord, and they're knighted by the Queen, or in some cases, rather too many in my view, they're hereditary peers, which means that they are handed their peerage, their lordship, through family bloodlines. Their role is to look at and modify laws that are made by the House of Commons. They're not allowed to change them, but they suggest amendments. They can't stop anything, but they can slow them down. And a bit like I'm learning about the debt ceiling bill and the other bills that are going through, there is a lot of similarities where things can be kicked down the road. And the House of Lords, an unelected body, as I've just described, they can kick the can down the road. Now, here is the, because each bill has to be read 3 times before it can be made into law, and it has to go through the House of Lords for scrutiny 3 times. It can take up to a year. Now, here's the thing, before you start thinking that's ridiculous, as far as I can see, you've almost got the same system, but the way to become a lord in America is through money. It's through money that you get from the lobbyists to make sure that you get re-elected every time you go into the elections, because your elections are rigged through the machines. So the same thing is happening. It's just in a different way in America. We're both corrupt. So there you are. Anyway,
time out. The problem of re-electing incumbents predates the corruption in machine voting. We have people going into the election booth not properly researching candidates and voting for the name they hear the most often. Consequently, like 80% of the incumbents get reelected. This is a problem. It's not a machine problem. I'm not telling you there is a machine problem. And right now, every county, every citizen that cares about free and fair elections needs to ask their county to do a forensic audit. I don't care what county you're in. There is a serious corruption. But what you're talking about extends beyond the corruption of the machine voting.
I agree with you, by the way. So you'll be surprised to hear, because what I'm trying to say to you is that you are right that there's an element of society that just votes for the person they've heard of. But also, there is still corruption without the machines as well. And we know that through ballot harvesting, through people being sent, dead people being sent voting ballot papers. It's not all just the machines, and it's been going on. And I now believe it's going on here as well. So that's because I'm starting to see things that don't add up in our so-called.
A year ago, you told me that could never happen, that you had a perfect voting system.
I did. But now I'm beginning to realize that even though we still have a one ballot cross vote situation, that I'm hearing that there have been people, especially from the Labour Party, that have been persuading reams of people to hand them their ballot papers so they can vote for them. And when you do the canvass, which we're seeing quite a lot of in America, you find there's a lot of that going on there. And I'm sure there's a lot of that going on here, especially with ethnic minorities who've just arrived in the country. Surprise, surprise. Now, back to this video I sent you. So while our Prime Minister's been away, you're allowed to do a private member's bill. And this private member has decided to do a bill whereby he wants to make into law that anybody that's had a severe adverse reaction to a experimental vaccine should be able to claim money from the government. Now, I was staggered, as I'm sure you were, at the detail of how many adverse reactions people have had in the UK to the vaccines in the last 7 months. I think it was from February to the 9th of September.
Yeah, in my 4-minute 41-second video you sent me, that was my question. What's the time frame? Because it was not included in my abbreviated version.
It was February to the 9th of September. Okay.
That's a short time.
You see, it's a very short time. In fact, I happen to know, and I want to elaborate on this, that in 11 months, the world has seen more deaths and severe injuries from the experimental COVID vaccines in total than the total of all vaccines that have been administered in the last 50 years.
Basically in the history of the world.
Well, it's incredible.
Yeah,
that these vaccinations have not been banned already. It's incredible.
It's incredible that this information has been hidden so long from the elected officials that could actually do something about it. And now the VAERS program here, which I wouldn't have even known existed had it not been for Dr. Ted Fogarty, is beginning to show some very serious ramifications, like heart issues are off the chart. I mean, typically, if you look at VAERS, through the course of history, there'd be maybe up to 10 people with a heart side effect of a vaccine. Just in VAERS reporting this year,
thousands.
Yeah, it's 600. And I'm telling you, those are just ones that are voluntarily reported.
Well, in Scotland, heart attacks for a specific type of heart enlargement issue, where they used to get on average 250 people a month, right? They're now getting 300 people a week with the same problem. And the government's frightened of telling people what the reason for that is, but we all know already. You don't even have to think about it. And remember, I have an irregular heartbeat. And I know that both the Pfizer and the Moderna jab have been banned in Iceland. The Moderna jab has been banned for everybody because of its myocardosis issues with the heart. And I'm led to believe that the Pfizer jab, they've just paid a bit more money, but they will get banned eventually because the figures are virtually the same.
They are.
So
they have a better lobbyist.
As far as I'm concerned, I may well not have been with you if I'd taken either of those jabs. And the AstraZeneca jab, well, I'm led to believe I can't take that because it's I'm allergic to penicillin. So we'll see. But I'm not taking any of these jabs for at least 5 years until I see proof that they've actually improved people's life outcomes.
I see no reason to ever take them. Why would you say you might take them after 5 years? There's no reason. You're going to prove what
the Chinese virus has mutated to be more dangerous, that would be a first as well, because viruses normally get weaker as they mutate. Then I would have to consider it. But at this moment in time, I think it's the biggest crime against humanity ever, which brings me to the third thing that's happened in our government while in the last 24 hours. And that is our health secretary, who was our equivalent, I have to say, of Anthony Fauci. There's a big cloud around his head for two things. One, it's been revealed that his family invested massively in vaccines just as the pandemic hit. And two, I know you've got remdesivir as an issue. We've got midazolam as an issue here, whereby it was a product which sedates people's bodies that was administered in care homes during the first wave of COVID cases. And we had hundreds of thousands of people in care homes die who had this midazolam. And what's interesting is that the massive increase in orders for this particular drug came before we actually had COVID.
Sure.
So there's something very dodgy going on there. Anyway, this man, I call him Matt Davos Hancock, has just been made the United Nations Envoy for Health. He's about as popular as a pig at a bar mitzvah in the UK. And yet, here he is getting one of the top jobs in the United Nations. People better wake up. There's something very, very dodgy going on. This is all about Build Back Better, the Great Reset, and he's one of them. And he's been to Davos. He's met Bill Gates. He's met them all, actually. And now he's got a top job in the United Nations. Do you know who the biggest investor in the United Nations is? I'm talking about individual, not a country.
Probably Soros.
It's actually your friend and mine, Mr. Gates, I believe.
He's not my friend.
No, he's not mine either. Anyway, so that's today's news. I might have got some of the facts slightly wrong, so I apologize. I know that that Gates is massively investing in the World Health Organization as well, but we really do need to wake up and smell the coffee that isn't being delivered to the stores now because of this pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. It's not because of the pandemic. It's because the politicians globally want to control. It's not because of a shortage of truck drivers either. And I'm going to verify that this week. Most importantly, let's go, Brandon. For Andrew Henderson,
can you hear me?
Regaining control of the farmer, I'm Trent Luce. Have a fantastic day. Yeah, I can hear you. Why? You can't hear me? You're out of here. We're gone. See you tomorrow across the pond.